Okay, let's get back to our accounting system DIY. What we did was creating a Dropbox for the settlement transaction items so that we can select the general ledger account for our settlement bank in the settlement transaction interface, which is on the right hand side of the line. Since our accounting system supports foreign exchange, we are going to amend our invoice interface a little bit. Before that, our Dropbox for the transaction item is like this. So if our transaction type is R, which is a sales transaction, then we can select all those general ledger accounts with R. Let's say if I can do sales, select only sales, right? Let's say this one, purchase invoice 002, it appears for 3 times because they are settled in multiple installments. So it can happen, right? Because you can settle your invoice in multiple installments. So what we want is when we select the account for the first time, let's say this is a building, then I don't need to select the general ledger account again. So let's say this one E. And now we can select again, but indeed we don't need to select the general ledger accounts for purchase invoice 002 because we already selected here, right? So we modify our backend so that we only need to enter the transaction item once for the same invoice. Okay, so let's go back to our original formula. So this is the first cell and the range. So you remember we do the dynamic selection Dropbox by referring to the first cell, colon, and then range, right? So it's the same case for the transaction item. And what we need to change is the condition. We need to add some conditions. Before that, we only specify when the type is R, then we are going to select the first cell of the sales array, right? But now I'm going to change this a little bit. Go to the transaction first cell, paste it here, Control V. Let me pick revenue transaction. So it means if the transaction type is R, which is sales revenue, and the transaction num count is not 0. The transaction num count is here. So the transaction num count that we did before is just counting how many times the transaction number appears. If it appears for the first time, then the num count will be 1. And if it's not, then it's going to be 2, 3, and so on. Okay? If the invoice number appears for the first time and the type is R, then we are going to go to the tab chart of account and look for the address function to look for the R search result column. We return a row and a column of the R search result column. Basically, it's the same for purchase transaction. But since in the invoice interface, we are going to include the transaction type P, which refers to the withdrawal transaction, like this one, withdrawal bank 1. Then we are going to look up from the withdrawal bank count column that we created before. It has to be not equal to a dash, which is nothing. So if it is not nothing, that means it appears for the first time. And we only count the withdrawal bank transaction for the first time. Then we are going to look up from the chart of account tab and look for the row and column from the B search result. Oh, you know what? Actually something wrong here because you remember we have the foreign bank and local bank, right? We have to add one more condition. So if it is a withdrawal bank count, it's not 0. So it appears for the first time and the reporting currency is the same as the transaction currency. So we need to select this one, transaction currency. But remember, we are going to extract the left 3 digit, which is here. So this is left wrap around this one. So the left 3 digit of the transaction currency, if it is the same as the reporting currency, this one, CAD, Canadian dollar, then we are going to look up from the local bank instead of the B search result, not B search result, because we are looking up from the local bank. Right? Because we create that in the chart of account before, the range will come up. So it's going to be local bank. Okay, then we copy this one because we still have the foreign bank, right? I'll enter, make up a little bit, and then paste it here. change the reporting currency because we're going to look up from the foreign bank, right? This occurs when the reporting currency is not equal to the transaction currency. Okay, let me change the local bank to foreign bank. Foreign bank, you see here. And then we need to add one more bracket to close it. So save it. Once we finish the transaction first cell, the transaction range is a little bit easier. So we need to change the transaction range column to this one. When the transaction type is R and the first cell is not a dash, that means it appears for the first time. Then we are going to look up from the respective range. If it is a sales transaction, then we look up from the R search result. Otherwise, it's going to look up from the P. And if it is a bank transaction, I have made a mistake on the transaction range. So I'm going to change it here. Add this condition. This is the reporting currency equals the transaction currency. If the invoice currency, which is also the transaction currency, if it is the same as reporting currency, which in our case Canadian dollar, then I'm going to look up from the local bank that we created in the chart of account before. Otherwise, if the bank transaction is not equal to the reporting currency, like this one, Invoice 002, then I'm going to look up from the foreign bank range, right? It has the pair like this. So let's say if this one, Euro and Canadian dollar, then I should be able to select, oh, you know what? Because I forgot I have the bank one, right? Let's say if I change this to bank 4 so that I can test my validation, then I can select from those general ledger accounts with a dot, 1000.1. Alright, actually, I have made one more fix just now. You remember the withdrawal and settle bank extract? We were naming the bank with the withdrawal bank code and settlement bank code, right? Let's just dive into the settle bank code. What we need to change is the count. If we were using, instead of AX, this one, AX, we include AW. Let me show you what happened. So if we include the AW, then you will see there will be a difference of 1 between the withdrawal bank and settlement bank code if we include AW, which is withdrawal bank count. Now we have to include only the AX. So that's change that we have made. If you select only the AX, in our formula, we are going to append the AX column count after the withdrawal bank count. Withdrawal bank count is 1, 2 in this case, then we will have 1, 2, 3. 3 is following 2. In our next video, we're going to create a list of bank accounts based on the withdrawal bank and settle bank code. This is essential for the foreign exchange portion, which is this one, the purchase expense portion. Stay tuned. See you in episode 26. Thank you. Bye-bye.